that you try to build. Like this is not the draft that you trade like a couple first round picks to what get Lamelo, who I mean he's kind of I feel like hit or miss because that jumper shaky. He's a good point guard, but I mean if he can't shoot, like if he's gonna shoot like his brother, then I don't know if I'm trading up for that. Next year though, when like Jalen Green and uh, Kumunga and all those guys come out, that's the draft that I would want to be like trading up for.
Yeah, that draft probably is going to be much deeper than this one. It's like a couple of big names. Like they even talking about Golden State. If they keep they draft it, they might draft somebody from Israel. So it's like it's
Which
not
would
really.
be smart. I mean, why try to force it? Because what take the best player available, quote unquote. Like if Lamelo's there, just take him because he's the top on the board. Like I don't think so. Because the guy from Israel is pretty. I think he's pretty good. He reminds me of Danilo a little bit.
That just shows how deep it is, though. Like typically, if it consider it like a deep draft, you got it's 12, 15 people coming from college. That's not the case this year. It's a couple of big names. And obviously, there's nobody big enough where it's like a Golden State and Minnesota is considered trading a pick because they're like, uh, it don't phase us.
I mean, Golden State makes sense for them to trade the pick, but Minnesota doesn't really make sense because they're talking about trading it for somebody to help them compete. And I just don't see them ever competing with this squad.
You don't even know what they could get at first pick.
You think they could trade that for Bradley Beal? No, they would have to trade way more than that. They can't get any superstar. Not you're not going to get Devin Booker for that.
Now that would be interesting because I know they're trying to make that happen. Have all the friends together. Um,
Yeah, have a nice little friendsgiving or something in the league every year, but it'll never amount to wins. I don't think.
I don't think anyhow with how Book played in the bubble, I can't see them trade. You have to you have to pay them and reincarnate Michael Jordan. Like it would, they actually look like they want to come up before Timberwolves would.
Yeah,
Like Phoenix getting into the playoffs before the T Wolves would, my opinion.
they got Towns, they got D'Lo, but I mean, it kind of stops there.
I think they should get Anthony Edwards, put him at the two.
Don't need to
Um,
make it so hard. It's like not that complicated. You have the point guard. Why take Lamelo when that'll just complicate things even more? It's like, do we want D'Lo to run point or do we want him to be off guard? Because Lamelo can't play off guard. If you can't shoot, you can't play off guard. It's that simple. So
maybe even working on his jump shot, hopefully. Yo, what's up? What's up? We are back for another episode of the Bench Mob Podcast. It's your host, Antonio, Mr. Still Not Worried, with my boy Miles. How you living, man?
I'm feeling good. It's a nice day out. Next week is supposed to be nice weather, so it's a good time to be alive. Hopefully, the election results come in a little, sooner than later. I'm just knocking on wood right now, but we'll
Yeah,
see
this
what happens.
this is definitely different. I mean, 2020 in general is different, but it's like it's going on 3 days now. I'm at work checking it. No updates. And they talking about they might have to recount some states. So it,
Mm-hmm.
we might find out next week at this rate. But one thing we do know is definitely happening tonight. We got the Packers going against the 49ers. We're going to break down all of the games coming up for this week 9 of NFL football right here, break down the games, talk about who we think is going to win, spreads, all of those things right there. But Green Bay got smacked last week. Vikings ran all over them. They get to go against the 49ers. They actually are the favorites with a -6. on the spread. What's your takeaways? Who you got winning this one?
I don't think it's that hard this game. The 49ers are missing basically half their team, whether they got hurt or COVID. It's not looking good for them this year. They're not going to be in the Super Bowl again, that's for sure. But I think the easiest choice this week in the NFL is this game. Like Packers -7, -10. You could give it like -14. It's not going to be close. Like Aaron Rodgers is going to tear this defense to shreds. We got Nick Mullins starting for the 49ers, and it's going to be tough. He doesn't have Debo. He doesn't have Ayuk. He doesn't have Kittle, which probably is the biggest loss. Not to mention their running back room is a ghost town. All their running backs are on IR, so it's gonna be interesting. I don't know if he should say a prayer before this game, but I definitely would.
Like you said, 49ers are slew with injuries. I think we're both on the same page. We go to the next game. I got Green Bay winning that. They're going to cover the -6. They'll win by a touchdown at least. Aaron Rodgers will bounce back. Even if they don't have any running backs, which is kind of an air with Aaron Jones, I don't think they'll have a problem with this game. Second game, we got the Panthers at 3-5 in Kansas City, who I know you still have a couple of scars after last week. 7-1. They're half favorites on a 2-game winning streak for the Chiefs, winning by 26 plus points their last 2 games. Who you got winning this game? I think this is an even easier game than the game we just mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, I would pick the Chiefs, straight up. I think they're going to win. Like, there's no debate. But with the spread, maybe I would take the Panthers just because McCaffrey's coming back this week. They're getting some weapons back healthy. Now they can have their team fully healthy on offense and see what happens, because they said McCaffrey looks good in practice. So, I mean, he was the best running back in the NFL last year, arguably the best player in the NFL last year. So that's a plus. But going against Mahomes and that offense is going to be a long day. You're gonna need the oxygen tanks, honestly, to keep up with them.
Sammy Watkins is back for them, and Mitchell Schwartz, so it's gonna be another long day. With that being that Mahomes got even more weapons back now, I think they cover the spread. I don't think McCaffrey's gonna be able to really make an impact as he wants. He'll probably get a lot of catches out the backfield, but he's not gonna be able to run because they're gonna be down. They're gonna be down pretty much, I think, the whole game from the rip, unless Kansas City gets off to one of their slow starts. But even then, second half, they'll go score 40 points. So they're like a basketball team. Next game, we got Seattle. I think this might be considered the game of the week. Seattle at Buffalo, 6-1 Seattle. Buffalo 6-2. They had that hot start, 4-0. Everybody's like, oh, Buffalo's going to run away with the AFC East, and they're so great and everything. But they've been 2-2 over their last 4 games, losing against some actual playoff teams. Seattle's favored at -3. How you see this game panning out?
I don't think this game's going to be close. The Bills' defense isn't that good. Seahawks' offense it's running on all cylinders. DK's doing his best Megatron impression. Russ is going for MVP. It's not going to be that close. Josh Allen looks like the Josh Allen that we've seen the last 2 years. Again, I mean, Seahawks defense isn't that good either, but I still believe that they can beat them pretty easily. I don't know about game of the week though, because Josh Allen he's prone to throw some picks.
He played better.
I'll say my pick of the week a little later on when we get to it.
He plays better at home. Seattle's defense ain't nothing to sneeze at either. Jamal Adams should be back. I think it's going to be a win for Seattle, obviously. I think they cover that spread. Stat to throw out there, Russell Wilson's going to have another big game. Buffalo allows 97.7 passer rating of quarterbacks and 7.3 yards per pass. which is a great recipe for Russell Wilson to get busy.
Yeah.
I think because Seattle's defense is sus themselves, even with Jamal Adams being back, when he was there, they were still giving up 400 yards a game. I think Josh Allen will be able to get back into a rhythm, him and Stephon Diggs, put some points up on the board. So I think it'll be a good game, but Seattle's going to pull it out. Next game, Bears 5-3 at Tennessee, who's 5-2. Tennessee is favored here, -6. Chicago, regarding the spread, Chicago has not lost a game more than a field goal twice this year. So I think Titans gonna win the game, but I think the Bears will. I don't think you take the Titans on the spread with this one.
No. Yeah, I agree. Like Titans are gonna probably win this game. They need to. They're on a little skid right now, but yeah, like you said, the Bears haven't. Most of their games are close. Like they play pretty close matchups, and that's mainly because they still have a very good defense. It's not because Nick Foles. He's a backup starting for an NFL team because their starter is probably one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. So, but yeah, I think the Bears will cover that -6.
I think being at Tennessee's pass defense is in the bottom half of the NFL, I think Nick Foles probably get a nice little game. He'll get off. I choose Tennessee. And like I said, I think I said it wrong, but Chicago's lost by more than a field goal only twice this year. So I wouldn't take the spread on that one. Next one, Ravens at 5-2, Colts at 5-2. I don't know if many people predicted the Colts to be 5-2. I still don't believe in Phillip Rivers, honestly, at the end of the day. Baltimore is the favorite here by 2.5. Who you got winning this game? Takeaways. Ravens covering their spread.
Yeah, I think the Ravens cover this, but it's going to be tough because the Colts really do have a very good defense. That's kind of one of the main reasons they are 5-2 because it's not Phillip Rivers. He's not, lighting the league on fire, but that defense is shutting teams down. But I mean, I would like to see Lamar get right in this game because they're coming off that Steelers game that they had a chance to win and they kind of blew. So maybe they take their anger out on the Colts and make this a blowout because I definitely need it. I have Lamar in fantasy and I need him to, pick it up a little bit. But hopefully he wakes up. It's time. It's the middle of the season. We're in week 8 or 9, halfway through the season. It's time to, make some changes.
Week 9, Ravens haven't lost consecutive games since last September. I'm actually choosing Indianapolis to pull this game out just because of their defense. A huge loss for Baltimore. Left tackle Ronnie Stanley, he's out. So that's a huge – he just got the big contract, all-pro, left tackle, not being there for Lamar Jackson against this defense. I think they make it a messy game, cause Lamar to get some turnovers. I apologize, hopefully not for your fantasy team, but I think they're going to have a couple more turnovers this game. And the Colts on the 2-game winning streak themselves with their linebacker Darius Leonard coming back. So I'm choosing the Colts to win this game. Staying in that division, though, of the Colts, you got probably one of the more boring games this week. Texans and Jags, both are 1-6. There's no Gardner Minshew this week, and Houston is favored by a touchdown. Do we even care who wins this game?
I don't, but I do care which team wins because I need teams to, pull away from the Jets a little bit. We're 0-8. We might have to go 0-16 to get the number 1 pick. These two teams are right behind us for that number 1 pick. So if they could split the win, I would take that easily. But since someone has to win, I'm going to take the Jaguars. I like them as a sleeper pick this week. I think they got the new quarterback, Jake Luton, coming in for Minshew. They said they're going to open up the offense a little bit for him. They said he has a strong arm, so we'll see. Against this Texans defense, they don't really have much to play for. They don't even have their first round pick to play for next year. So I don't see the Texans making much noise. Like you said, it's one of the worst games of the week. Hopefully they don't have it on TV in Houston or Jacksonville or the US. Maybe Canada can show it because I don't know if these games are worth watching, but
I think they'll probably show it in Puerto Rico. Get them some, because I know over the last couple of years the NFL has gone out of the country to have some games. This could be their out of the country game. Like, you feel
it
me?
could be. I mean, with the Espanol, it could be a little fun to watch. I might change the settings on my TV and see if I could get that.
That'll probably be the best way to watch this game. I got, I got the Texans winning it. I just threw it out there. I think Deshaun Watson will have a good game. They're not even playing for them. It don't even matter. They don't even have a first round pick next year. So for the Jets, hopefully the Jags win, but I think the Texans will pull it out with no Gardner Minshew. Next game, another one that isn't so exciting. Broncos 3-4, Falcons 2-6. Falcons are favored. They're the home team at 3.5. I see the Falcons pulling this game out. Matt Ryan and them, I think they'll be able to get off. How you see this one panning out?
I mean, I would like to pick the Falcons, but picking them this year has been tough. Because if you pick them in the first half, it's a lock almost. But if you
Second
pick them
half.
for the whole game, they've had a tendency to blow some of these leads, and it's kind of is this is not a good game for them. This could be a trap game. They're trying to make a run at the playoffs. I don't see it. 2-6, they'd have to win every game here on out to even be considered for the playoffs. Even though they opened up the playoffs, they expanded it a little bit. So maybe they see that as an opportunity to get in. But the Broncos, they're riding high. They had that comeback win last week. Drew Lock looked good. This Falcons defense has been playing better, but you know we know how they are in holding leads. They've been blowing leads since 2017, I think. So I'm gonna take the Broncos with the spread on this one.
Next one, we got Detroit and the Vikings. Matt Stafford and Jared Davis are on the reserve COVID-19 list. I think that's going to be tough if Stafford isn't playing. I'm choosing the Vikings in this. Vikings, they're at home, 2-5. They're coming off that big game. I can see Dalvin Cook going off again for 150 yards rushing, 50 yards receiving, 2-3 touchdowns. I wouldn't tune into this game personally.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough Sunday with some of these games. They're not the most interesting. This is probably a down week in the NFL, and it stinks because this is really the only sport we have to look forward to every week for the next month or so. So, like you said, I'm taking the Vikings. Without Matt Stafford, I really don't think Chase Daniels really been that type of guy to lead teams to victory. Although we've seen crazier things happen, but Kirk Cousins is healthy. Dalvin Cook had a huge game last week, so honestly, I think the Vikings will just ride Dalvin Cook for the rest of the way. And if he takes them to the playoffs, cool. But the future's not bright over there. This is the last year of Kirk's deal. They're going to be looking for a quarterback next year. I wouldn't bring Kirk back, but that's just me. I'm not hired for these positions. Yeah, I would pass on him.
He's straight. Y'all don't gotta sign me back. I got that bag.
Yeah, that was the worst contract. They guaranteed the whole thing. There was no way of getting out of it because the whole contract, he got guaranteed money right up front. And hey, he hasn't performed to the level of that contract. So, but this week, it doesn't matter. I think he'll get a break and they'll win.
Shout out to his agent getting him that bag. So
yeah, I need his help.
Facts. I need his representation. Next game we got another sleeper game, another doozer. Giants 1-7 at the Washington football team 2-5. Washington is favored in this game at a field goal.
I mean, I would hope the Giants can win. I need them to get at least 2 wins because I don't see the Jets winning 2 games. The Giants are right behind us too. You see where I'm going here?
Yeah.
I'm looking ahead. I'm looking to the draft 8-7 months from now. The Giants they're looking for a quarterback too because Daniel Jones he's not Eli Manning. I know they drafted him and took the coach's advice from Duke saying that
he kind of reminds me of Eli.
Well, they're both boring and
Yes.
zero personality, but besides that, there's no similarities. Eli was at least decent. Daniel Jones is leading or close to leading the league again in turnovers.
I remember at one point, Eli, let's give Daniel Jones a little bit of leeway. Eli was struggling with turnovers too at one point.
Yeah, but those 2 Super Bowls kind of, you don't see that. You don't listen. You don't hear anything about that. The turnovers are drowned out by the rings. Daniel Jones can't drown that out because he's probably like 20 games below 500 in his career, and he might be backing up somebody next year. Probably Justin Fields if they get a good enough pick.
I think Washington. I know you want the Giants to win. I think Washington pulls out this game. They had I wouldn't say it's a big win, but I guess it's a nice division win last week. The thing that worries, I think, the Giants they should be worried about. Last week, Washington put up 6 sacks. They're ranked second in the NFL when it comes to their defense, their defensive line, top in sack rate. Daniel Jones is 4 turnovers last 2 weeks. Maybe he got money on the games. He's trying to cover the spread type thing. I think it's going to be another bad week for Giants fans. I think Washington gets off. They're 3-5. They'll be battling to get that number 1 seed for the division with Washington and Eagles. They'll be competing. So they got something to still play for.
I think the Giants pull this one out. They beat the Redskins already this year. I don't know if Haskins was starting that game, but he shouldn't be allowed on the field for that team again. That's just my opinion. He's been put in a tough position, but what can you say? This is the NFL. But I think Daniel Jones, they almost pulled it out last week against Tampa Bay. So maybe they'll carry that momentum against Washington, who's, I think we can both agree, not as good as Tampa Bay, and get that second win.
I think because Washington been playing good as of late with that game, and their defense really hasn't been that much of a problem this year. It's been more sort of offense and putting them in bad positions. I'm not saying they're an elite defense, but their defense is pretty good with a Daniel Jones who likes to give the ball to the other team. I just can't see them pulling this one out. Washington's getting healthier. I don't trust Daniel Jones. He reminds me so much of Eli Manning. So he said the Super Bowls wipe away how basic and average Eli Manning really was. He's not great. Anywho, Raiders, Chargers. Raiders are 4-3. Chargers 2-5. I remember at one point people were talking about the Raiders being a team that could make some noise, and John Gruden knows what he's doing. 4-3 now. How do you see this game panning out? And by the way, the Chargers are favored at -1 point right now. With a Justin Herbert who has been balling all year, but they are another team. They are like Atlanta. They lose leads consistently. They should maybe be 3 or 4 wins right now if they kept leads. But how do you see this one panning out?
Maybe they just should start playing from behind. That's the best advice I could give them, because getting off to a good start doesn't always pan out for them. Usually that works for teams. You want to get the lead first before anything. But for the Chargers, it's rough. It's been a rough year for them. They do have their quarterback of the future. That's the one solid thing that they have going for them. But these blown leads, it's kind of demoralizing. But I like the Chargers this week. I don't see the Raiders as much of a threat as some people might think. John Gruden, he's got a 10-year deal, so he's sitting pretty right now. But that team, I don't like them. I don't like the Raiders, whether they're LA, Oakland, Las Vegas. They could be Philly, the Philly Raiders. It doesn't matter. They're not that good. They're overrated. They got a couple lucky wins, like against the Chiefs. It doesn't matter. Justin Herbert's going to light them on fire this week. I would even bump that spread up to maybe -4, -5, because I think they'll win by more than a touchdown. Knock on wood, because leads do get blown.
Yeah, Raiders gave up 45 points to Tampa Bay. So then they gave up only 6 to Baker Mayfield and the Browns. But I would be safe to say that Justin Herbert and the Chargers are more explosive and more consistent than Baker Mayfield. They're closer to Tampa Bay offense. So I see 25, 30 points put up on the board this week for Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
Minimum. Next game we got Miami 4-3, Arizona 5-2. The battle of the under 6 foot quarterbacks. Arizona's favored at 5 points. I think Arizona pulls this game out. I don't like how Tua looked last week, me personally. Their defense has been playing really good. And a game like this where Arizona is going to put up points, more than likely with Kyler Murray and Hopkins, I don't think Tua got enough. I don't even think they should have started him, in my opinion. You messed with that chemistry that Fitzpatrick was on a roll. I still will say I think you should have kept Fitzpatrick in there. I see Arizona definitely covering their spread winning this game.
Yeah, I mean, but this goes along the lines for like many teams that have a young player that they drafted pretty high. Like you want them to start playing, you want them to get that game experience, because it's been a while since Tua's played live. It's been like a year because he got hurt. There was no preseason. He's been backing up Fitzpatrick for half the year, so it's kind of time for him to show what he can do. But like you said, I don't see them as much of a threat to the Cardinals this week. That spread seems a little low, and that's probably only because the Dolphins' defense has been playing well. And I like the Cardinals -4.5, 6.5. It doesn't matter. Tua is not getting into any shootouts anytime soon. This is not Alabama. This is not the SEC. This is the NFL. You gotta step it up a little bit. So Kyler Murray's been looking really good this year. Look at Chase Edmonds this week too. If you have a chance to pick him up, anybody in fantasy, I do think Chase Edmonds will have a huge week this week, and D-Hop too. I mean, that's almost a given. Like he's a monster out there. Kyler's gonna just throw it up to him. He'll probably catch it, and probably is more like 80-20.
Yeah,
you throw it up to him.
Next game, we have two of the most historic franchises with the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cowboys. 7-0 are the Steelers. The Cowboys somehow had 2 wins. Pittsburgh is favored 13.5, dang near 2 touchdowns. I think they win by 21. I don't have much to really break down on this game. Pittsburgh wins the game by 21. I say they even go as far as second half, maybe the end of the third quarter, they sit down their starters just to be healthy. I think that'd be the best thing. Sit down Big Ben, Juju Smith-Schuster, let your backers get some play time, and they still win by 21.
Yeah, like you said, there's not much to be said about this game. There's no This game's not fun at all to watch, look at. It's going to be on TV, but hopefully they get flexed out of it because the Cowboys, I don't even know who they're starting at quarterback this week.
Wait for it. Garrett Gilbert or Cooper Rush. Woo!
They got some cool names, but that's where it kind of, you lose me there. They're not fantasy worthy, and they're not NFL worthy either. So, and Zeke popped up on the injury list with a hamstring. So if he can't go,
he hasn't looked good this year at all, and it could be the
offensive line's been a little beat up this year, more than usual. They lost a couple key guys, but yeah, he hasn't looked that good. And for all that money he's getting paid.
He's had, I think, uncharacteristically, we could say, he's fumbled before, but I think he had 3 or 4 fumbles this year. He's in the top for running backs with fumbles this year. Mm-hmm. I think something that they need to do for this game, they need to have EMS ready. They need to have a stretcher ready because the Pittsburgh Steelers will blitz. This is Blitzburgh. They will blitz a lot. They lead the league in sacks. Cowboys might need both quarterbacks that's possibly start. Garrett Gilbert, he's going to start maybe, and Cooper Rush will play because how Pittsburgh defense is with Russian and Mr. Watt over there. I think 1 or 2 of the quarterbacks will be injured. We might see a kicker come in and have to play quarterback. Maybe Amari Cooper could play better at quarterback. We might see something along those lines, which that's another thing. Amari Cooper, they paid that man that money. They're going to have to make some changes this offseason. They are tied up in a lot of money. I feel bad for Cowboys fans. Next game we have Saints and Bucks, which I'm pretty sure you would probably consider the game of the week. Saints are at 5-2. Bucks are 6-2. Tampa is favored at 5 points this game. They already met this season. If I recall correctly, the Saints were able to pull out that first one. Everybody was kind of panicking and, is Tom Brady and Tampa the right fit? They've been playing well, and they look like they're hitting their groove, and Tampa's actually the favor now in Tampa. How do you see this one panning out?
Yeah. This is a game of two guys who are just collecting checks to put in their retirement fund. It's pretty obvious what they're doing. And NFL wise, I like the Bucks, but this is one of the better games of the week. Probably the one game worth watching this week. So Drew Brees is getting a couple weapons back. He's getting Emmanuel Sanders back, Michael Thomas, hopefully, knock on wood. Hopefully he doesn't knock anybody out or, run a stop sign or a red light and
only
get into a fight. I don't know. He's losing it this year. And that, if you look at their cap situation for next year, they might move on from Michael Thomas and a lot of guys because this is probably their last shot at a Super Bowl run. There's just no money on that team. And Tampa Bay, they're starting to make a little bit of a run towards, jumping up the list on contenders for a Super Bowl this year. So I think Tampa Bay, they got Tom Brady. They might have Chris Godwin back this week, which would be a plus. They're getting AB, which we'll see what type of AB we get. But I do believe that Tampa Bay is the better team here. And they'll start to stretch in the division from the Saints.
I think Tampa wins. I think it'll be a closer game with possibly Michael Thomas coming back, as you mentioned. Alvin Kamara still is a problem with beast no matter what. So, and they're in the division. They always play each other tough. Even when Jameis Winston was there, they played each other tough. So I see this being a closer game. I think maybe Tampa is able to pull it out by a touchdown, so they'll cover the spread. But I got Tampa winning this one. And the most important game of the week, the most important game for so many reasons, we have the Pats at 2-5 going against the 0-8 Jets. New England somehow is favored by 7 points in this. I don't think it's that simple. New England has not played well, specifically in regards of Cam Newton. Yes, they was at a close game last week, but their offense has been pretty much abysmal this year. I know you're going to pick New England to win, but do you really believe that New England will win?
It's tough. Just because one, you don't know if Sam's going to play or not. He's a little banged up, and honestly, for his health and his future NFL career, he should probably sit this one out, just because he's taken a lot of shots, and that's the main reason he's been hurt. But I mean, this could be a get right game for Cam. He's going against a defense that just got shredded by the Chiefs, and people getting piggyback rides off the field, doing the Dougie, the swag surf on them. I don't know. It would be demoralizing if I wasn't rooting for the Jets to lose the games, but I like the Patriots this week. I hope I never have to say that again. But I like the Patriots to win against us this week. I don't know if it'll be close. It's an offense with play calling from Adam Gase, who probably wouldn't do well coaching high school football at this point. He might work in Pee Wee, where some of his creativity might work because they don't know any better. But in the NFL, he's shown little adjustment. I hate him. It's such a strong word, but I hate him. I hate seeing him on the sideline. I hate him wearing Jets green. I hate him saying what he says after the games because it makes no sense. Yeah, I just had to rant for a second because I don't get a chance to say I hate him enough. But maybe this will be the last straw. Maybe this is going into the bye week. Maybe if we lose by enough, they just fire him, and that's that. I don't have to talk about Adam Gase anymore. I don't have to see his face. I hope I never see him in person, because I will give him an earful, because he's made it very hard to watch these games these last couple years. And yeah, it's a Monday night game. It's at 8:15. If people wanted to know. If you didn't want to know, then just do something else. Play charades, Uno, do something else with your family, because it'll probably end up being a better story to tell the next day than watching the Jets play.
It's true. The Jets defense is gutted, but who Cam have to throw to? Cam doesn't have any weapons. We mentioned Kansas City going off. That's a whole Tyreek Hill, Le'Veon Bell, the other running back. I think and it's Pat Mahomes. I don't think Cam Newton is in the same conversation anymore of a Pat Mahomes. Maybe he never was. I actually see the Jets pulling this one out. I see the Jets winning this one. I can see a little conspiracy here. I can see Bill Belichick trying to, mess up the Jets. And
see, if this was around the horn, I would have muted you by now, because I don't need to hear your negativity that you're bringing. It's not good.
I think the Jets pulled this one out. You guys are starting to get some weapons back. I like Mims. He didn't really get any play, any targets in the second half. But when that's your one target, it's kind of easy. Kansas City's like, all right, well, just shut down Mims. We're good. He had a pretty good first half, 2 catches, 46 yards. We'll just shut him down. So I think just because Cam doesn't have any options, their offense has been abysmal. I think this is a type of game where you see it be 17-13 type of game. Jets pull it out. I see the Jets pulling it out. That's the end of week 9.
I'll probably be the only person watching the game on Monday, and
I'll,
I'll be watching it for different reasons to make sure that we don't mess this up. There's been times where we could have tanked and we end up winning a game that we shouldn't. This feels like it could be one of those games, and I'm
it
going to be
definitely
yelling at
does.
the TV if we do win.
It feels like one of those games, and I think it's going to happen. I think Adam Gase pulls it out this week, and he has a great game. They win it. He tells y'all to go eat a you know what after the game because he pulled it out. He told y'all he could do it.
He did. I mean, he said it every week, and we're still waiting on a victory. But hopefully, hey, if he keeps saying it, usually it leads to a loss. So he's still saying it. So I'm anticipating another loss.
It's an execution problem. Y'all not executing. He has the right game plan. It's just the players aren't executing. And even if y'all do lose, you know, as a Jets fan, typically your ownership, they don't fire in between the seasons. So I think you guys are stuck together. You guys are still married. You cannot annul the marriage as of yet. You have to go to the divorce court, and it's going to be a nasty divorce. That's how I see it going. Adam Gase will throw all of your players under the bus. He has messed up Sam Darnold. Yeah, I will probably draft a quarterback. Sam probably will be on our podcast with us next season. So look out for that. We'll have an addition, Sam Darnold, former Jets quarterback. But anything you want to say before we get out of here?
Let's see. Maybe Adam Gase should start playing Madden because I know on Madden you can at least switch playbooks to different teams' playbook. So maybe he should, he should play a couple games with maybe the Chiefs playbook, steal some of their play calls. Maybe that works because I don't even know if Madden should be allowed to put his playbook on Madden because I don't see any team winning with his play calling. It's just not going to work.
Bench Mob, another great episode. Make sure y'all stay safe out there. They're saying another spike is supposed to be coming. Shout out to everybody that voted. Shout out to all of our sponsors, our listeners, everybody from Anchor, Apple, Spotify. We have listeners in South Africa. Shout out to y'all. I don't know how y'all heard about it, but shout out to y'all. You know the vibes. If you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. Bench Mob, we out. Peace.
Peace.